The European Union is one of the most complex political systems in the world, not quite a country, but more than just an international organization. At the center of the system, we have the 7 key institutions that shape laws, policies, and governance across 27 countries. So today, we will break down these 7 institutions on how they work, who runs them, and the criticisms they face as an international organization, and most importantly, how they connect as a whole to a single political system. The European Parliament. The European Parliament represents the EU citizens and it is the legislative body directly elected by the people. It ensures democratic representation across Europe and influences laws, budgets, and oversights of other institutions. It consists of 720 members of the European Parliament, or MEPs, elected every 5 years. Direct elections by the EU citizens, which makes it the only directly elected EU institutions. And yes, they share lawmaking power with the Council through the ordinary legislative procedure, or also known as the co-decision. Often, it is criticized for a democratic deficit, despite being elected because turnout is low and many citizens feel disconnected. The European Council. It sets the overall political direction and priorities of the European Union. It acts as the EU's strategic leadership, deciding on major issues like enlargement, crisis, and foreign policies. It is composed of 27 heads of state or government, plus its president and the Commission president. Members are not elected to the Council itself. They are leaders of their own countries. And no, it does not pass laws. It only sets direction. However, it is seen as too intergovernmental, meaning powerful states might dominate decisions. Council of European Union. It represents member state governments in lawmaking. It balances national interests with EU-wide policies. It is composed of government ministers from each EU country depending on the policy area. Ministers are appointed nationally and yes, co-legislator with the parliament adopts laws and budgets. Although decision-making can be slow due to the need for consensus or qualified majority voting, or also known as QMV. The European Commission. It is known as the executive branch which proposes laws and implements policies. It drives EU integration by initiating legislation and enforcing EU law. It is composed of a college of 27 commissioners, 1 per country, led by a president. Commissioners are nominated by member states but approved by Parliament. And yes, it is the only institution that can formally propose laws. However, it is often criticized for being unelected and technocratic, raising concerns about accountability. The Court of Justice of the European Union. It ensures EU law is interpreted and applied uniformly. It maintains legal consistency across all member states. The Court of Justice consists of 1 judge per country, while the General Court consists of 2 judges per country. These judges are appointed by governments of member states and no, it interprets law rather than creates it. However, it is accused of judicial activism, meaning it sometimes expands EU powers through rulings. The European Central Bank. It is the one that manages the euro and monetary policies. It maintains price stability and economic coordination in the eurozone. It is led by a president and a governing council and central bank governors of euro countries. Its leaders are appointed by EU member states and no legislative power but strong economic policy influence, although criticized for being too independent and lacking democratic accountability. The European Court of Justice. It simply audits EU finances. It ensures transparency and accountability in EU spending. It consists of 1 member from each EU country and they are appointed by member states after consultation with the Parliament. And no, they only have advisory and oversight role. They also have limited enforcement power which can identify issues but cannot really directly impose sanctions. In summary, the EU functions through a system of institutional balance. The European Commission proposes laws, the European Parliament and Council of European Union pass them, The European Council sets direction. The Court of Justice of the European ensures legality. The European Central Bank stabilizes the economy, and the European Court of Auditors checks financial accountability. This creates a hybrid system, part supranational, which are the Commission and the Parliament, and part intergovernmental, which are the Council of European Council. The European Union's institutional framework is not just bureaucratic. It is a carefully designed political system that balances power between its citizens, states, and supranational actors. That is why understanding these 7 institutions not only helps explain how the EU works, but why it is often seen as one of the most innovative and most complex political systems in the world.